Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha. Today is Saturday, and as per Ayurveda, Saturday is considered to be an excellent day for men to have their Abhyanga snana or weekly oil bath. Today also coincidentally happens to be the Amavasya day, which is the no moon day in the lunar cycle. And for those men who are doing the Tila tarpana, which is a ritual done by men who have lost a parent in honor of their Pitrus or their ancestors, is done on the Amavasya day. They are specifically told that they cannot have an oil these days, as per the Shastras. Now, here's a very interesting larger point that I wanted to illustrate. You have on the one hand an Ayurvedic rule which says that on Saturdays men should have their oil bath, and on the other hand you have a rule from the Smritis and the Puranas which says, and the Vedas of course, which says that men who are doing a Tila Tarpana on Amavasya day should not have an oil bath even if it happens to be Saturday. Now, how do you reconcile these two? And this brings me to a very important point about Ayurveda. Now, Ayurveda is not an independent Shastra. It is in fact an upaveda of the Rigveda. Upaveda meaning an applied science. So, Ayurveda does not stand or alone or exist separately. In fact, this much is very clearly mentioned by the Acharyas in the Ayurvedic text like the Charaka Samhita and the Sushruta Samhita, that the Ayurvedic rules are to be interpreted in the larger Vedic context and must be in conformity because Ayurveda itself is derived from the Vedas, the Rigveda in this particular case. So this is how this rule is reconciled. So on Saturday, in general for men, it is excellent to have an oil bath. But if Saturday also happens to be an Amavasya day, and on top of that, for those men who lost a parent and are doing the Tila Tarpana ritual on that Amavasya Saturday day, do not have the oil bath. This is how this rule is to be reconciled. So Ayurveda can only be interpreted in the larger context of the Vedic lifestyle and of the Vedas from which it is derived. And the obvious follow-up question here is, why do the Shastras prohibit having an oil bath on Amavasya day? And the link here is actually Tila or black sesame, which is common to both the Abhyanga ritual and the Tila Tarpana ritual. Now, for an Abhyanga snana, you need an excellent oil, and the oil is generally the base is sesame oil, which comes from black sesame seeds. And for the Tila Tarpana ritual, obviously you need black sesame or Tila. Now, for this reason, that is, you're supposed to offer water and Tila to your ancestors on the Amavasya Tila Tarpana day. You can't use it for yourself to anoint yourself with an Abhyanga snana as well. So for this reason, the Shastra say that for those men doing this ritual on the Amavasya day, they can't have an oil bath and they should use the sesame actually for the ritual for their ancestors, and that's the connection. To clarify this rule further, on Amavasya day, for those men who are mandated to do the Tila Tarpana for their Pitrus, they should not have an oil bath, and of course their Dharmapatris or Sahadharmacharis who are integral to this ritual, they also should avoid the oil bath on that Amavasya day. There are of course clear exceptions to this oil bath rule. For example, if there are postpartum women in the home, they can continue to have the oil bath because it's integral to the recovery. And of course, people like babies in the home, right? They also can continue to have their oil bath because a daily oil massage is integral for babies' development. It is interesting to note that across the world, in all ancient cultures, honoring one's ancestors is an integral part of daily life. In India, we call them the Pitrus, and we can never really repay the debt that we owe our ancestors, but these rituals like the Tila Tarpana done on Amavasya day are just a small way of showing our gratitude to our ancestors. And it must be understood that these rituals must be done with a lot of love and affection and shraddha, and our ancestors are always looking out for us from whichever world they are in, and honoring them is a great source of blessings for us. And of course, in India, we have a very, very well codified, long standing tradition of doing these rituals to honor our ancestors. And of course, there will be regional variations, and all such matters we should follow the sampradaya of our family and consult the family elders and follow that tradition. By and large, the rituals have some commonalities, but there tend to be regional variations. I hope you found this video useful, and I would like to reiterate that to understand the Ayurvedic rules and the Ayurvedic injunctions, we have to interpret them in the overall Vedic context, as Ayurveda is an upaveda of the Vedas. And thank you for watching this video.